Greetings to our subject professor in Advanced Research Methods, Qualitative Research, Sir Shalelo Amihan, and of course to my fellow classmates. Today, I'm gonna be discussing with you one of the most important foundations of philosophy in conducting qualitative research, which is phenomenology. So, this time we will be understanding the essence of phenomenology in conducting qualitative research. But before we proceed to our main topic, let's have first a short review of what a research is, a qualitative research. As we recall, research is a systematic investigation and study of materials and resources to establish facts and reach new conclusions. So when we say systematic, it means there is a procedure, a standard, order, or sequence to follow. Qualitative research, according to Yin year 2011, studying the meaning of people's life, social phenomena, where the researcher immerses himself, representing the views and perspective of people. Now let's define phenomenology. Literally, phenomenology is the study of phenomena or phenomenon. Phenomenon is singular and phenomena a plural form. In research, phenomenology, according to Criswell, year 1998, the essence of this study is to search for the central underlying meaning of the participants' experience and points of view. Phenomenon is an observable fact or extraordinary event, an exceptional happening, or a remarkable situation, which may result to questioning or further studying. One of the main reasons why researchers conduct a research because of a certain phenomenon or phenomena that emerged. Now, let's proceed to the types of phenomenology or methods of interpretation of phenomenology, Smith, year 2013. The first one is a descriptive phenomenology. It's a method of inquiry that emphasizes the detailed description of subjects' lived experiences. So this type of phenomenology is often used in research with human subjects, particularly in social sciences. So it's all about a pure description of lived experience. So one example of this is the feeling of losing a dog or a puppy. In her, we're trying to describe the feeling of losing a puppy, as pure as it is. The second one is the interpretive phenomenology, which is a method of inquiry that emphasizes on the interpretation of subjects' lived experiences. So this type of phenomenology is often used in research with human subjects, particularly in the humanities. So it is an interpretation of a kind of experience by relating it to a relevant context. Example, relating to the loss of animal or puppies that you have. So we could say that the loss of a dog or a puppy is terrible, but absolutely, losing person near us is much more terrible. So in this, we could clearly understand that kind of experience or feelings we had by relating it to a relevant context, by comparing some related situations. The third one, or the last one, is the critical phenomenology, wherein it's a method of inquiry that emphasizes the political and social dimensions of subjects' lived experiences. So this type of phenomenology is often used in research with human subjects, particularly in social and political sciences. So this has something to do with the analysis of the form of an experience. Example, just like analyzing how does the feeling of losing a dog or a puppy works. As a researcher, we often try to interpret how does it feel. Alright, so those are the three methods of interpretation in phenomenology. Now, let's proceed on the characteristics of phenomenology. So, the first characteristics is focus on subjective experience. The second one is it's emphasized on the present moment. The third one is the use of intuition. So the first characteristics of phenomenology is on focus on subjective experience. So this means that Phenomenologists believe that our understanding of the world is shaped by our individual perspectives. So the second one, characteristics, is its emphasis on the present moment. So this one is phenomenologists believe that we can only understand our experience by living in the present moment and paying close attention to our immediate surroundings. So this focus on the present moment help us to understand our own thoughts and feelings as well as the other feelings. So the third one is the use of intuition. So phenomenologists believe that we can access deeper level of understanding through our intuition, so rather than through logical reasoning or scientific observation. In other words, phenomenology tries to get pure meaning of phenomenon that can only be understood subjectively and intuitively grasped in its essence. When to use phenomenology? First is when studying lived experiences. Phenomenology can be used to study personal experiences such as illness, grief, or love. So this type of research is often used in psychology and counseling, so to understand individuals' subjective experiences. Second is when understanding how people to make meaning of their lives. So phenomenology can be used to understand how individuals interpret and make meaning of their lives. So this type of research is often used in sociology and anthropology to study a behavior. Third is when exploring how people interact with their environment. So phenomenology can be used to examine how people perceive, use, make sense of, or feel about their environment. The purpose of phenomenology. The main purpose of phenomenology is to reduce the experience to their essentials, which allows for a greater understanding of them. Phenomenology has its roots in philosophy, but it has been applied for a variety of disciplines, including psychology, sociology, and anthropology. This method used in phenomenology is called phenomenological reduction. So this involves setting aside assumptions and preconceptions in order to gain a fresh perspective on phenomena. One of the goals of phenomenology is to achieve certainty about the essential structures that underlie experience. So this certainty is important because it allows us to build upon this foundation in our quest for knowledge. In addition, by understanding these structures, we can better explain we experience certain things in certain ways. There are advantages of phenomenology. So one of these is it allows researchers to study phenomena in their natural setting without manipulating or controlling them. So this allows for a more accurate understanding of the phenomenon under study. Another advantages of phenomenology is it emphasizes the subjective experiences of individuals, wherein it is very important because our individual experiences shape how we interact with and make sense of the world around us. So by understanding these individual experiences, we can gain a better understanding of the phenomenon as a whole. In addition, phenomenology is an iterative process. So meaning that researchers can continually revise and refine their understanding of the phenomenon under study as new data is collected. This flexibility makes it an ideal method for complex phenomena that are difficult to understand using other methods. And there are also limitations of phenomenology. The first one is it is difficult to obtain an accurate description of experience because it is subjective and personal. The second one is it is hard to generalize from individual experiences because they are so unique. And the last one is phenomenology does not provide a casual explanation for the experience. It only describes what is experienced. And now, phenomenology as a discipline is distinct from but related to other key disciplines in philosophy such as ontology, epistemology, logic, and ethics. Phenomenology has been practiced in various guises for centuries, but came into its own in the early 20th century in the works of Husserl, Heidegger, Sartre, Merleau-Ponty, and others. Phenomenological issues of intentionality, consciousness, qualia, and first-person perspective have been prominent in the recent philosophy of mind. According to Edmund Husserl, phenomenology is the science of the essence of consciousness, centered on a defining trait of intentionality, approached explicitly in the first person. In this spirit, we may say phenomenology is the study of consciousness, that is, conscious experience of various types as experienced from the first person of view. In this discipline, we study different forms of experience just as we experience them. So from the perspective of the subject living through or performing them. Thus, we characterize experience of seeing, hearing, imagining, thinking, feeling, example or emotion. So, wishing, desiring, willing, and also acting. That is embodied volitional. Activities of walking, talking, cooking, carpentering, etc. However, not just any characterization of an experience. In ideas of Husserl presented in Phenomenology with a transcendental turn, in part this means that Husserl took on the Kantian idiom of transcendental idealism, looking for conditions of possibility of knowledge or of consciousness generally and arguably turning away from any reality beyond phenomena. He also proposed the term bracketing, the question of the existence of the natural world around us. We thereby turn our attention and reflection to the structure of our own consciousness or conscious experience. Our first key result is the observation that each act of consciousness is a consciousness of something that is intentional or directed towards something. On the other hand, for Heidegger, phenomenology is when we and our activities are always in the world. Our being is being in the world. So, we do not study our activities by bracketing the world. Rather, we interpret our activities and the meaning of things for us by looking to our contextual relations to the things in the world. Indeed, for Heidegger, phenomenology resolves into what he called fundamental ontology. We must distinguish beings from their being, and we begin our investigation of the meaning of being in our own case, examining our own existence in the activity of Dasein, that being whose being is in each case my own. Heidegger resisted Husserl's Neo-Cartesian emphasis on consciousness and subjectivity, including how perception presents things around us. By contrast, Heidegger held that our more basic ways of relating to things are in practical activities, like hammering, where the phenomenology reveals our situation in a context of equipment and in being with others. In being and in time, Heidegger approached phenomenology in a quasi-poetic idiom through the root meanings of logos and phenomena, so that phenomenology is defined as the art or practice of letting things show themselves. In Heidegger's inimitable linguistic play on the Greek roots, phenomenology means to let that which shows itself be seen from itself and very way in which it shows itself from itself. Here, Heidegger explicitly parodized Husserl's call to the things themselves or to the phenomena themselves. Heidegger went on to emphasize practical forms of comportment or better relating to Verhalten, as in hammering a nail, as opposed to representational forms of intentionality, as in seeing or thinking about a hammer. Much of being and time develops an essential interpretation of our moods of being, including famously our being toward death. In Jean-Paul Sartre's model of intentionality, the central player in consciousness is a phenomenon, and the occurrence of a phenomenon just is a consciousness of an object. All things in this world as we normally experience them are phenomena, beneath or behind which lies their being in itself. Consciousness, by contrast, has being for itself, since each consciousness is not only a consciousness of its object, but also a pre-reflective consciousness of itself. Yet, for Sartre, unlike Husserl, the I or self is nothing but a sequence of acts of consciousness, notably including radically free choices. For Sartre, the practice of phenomenology proceeds by a deliberate reflection on the structure of consciousness. So, Sartre's method is in effect a literary style of interpretive description of different types of experience in relevant situation. A practice that does not really fit to the methodological proposal of either Husserl or Heidegger, but makes use of Sartre's great literary skill. So aside from Husserl, Heidegger, and Sartre, there are still other philosophers propose their own arguments about phenomenology. However, we could clearly identify that indeed from the explanations of Husserl, Heidegger, and Sartre, they are all giving explanation all about experiences and consciousness of a person living on a certain phenomenon. In conclusion, phenomenology discussing from its origin, definition, methods of interpretation, characteristics, purpose, advantages, and limitations. Phenomenology plays a very significant role in conducting qualitative research. An effective qualitative research methodology, phenomenological research, is used to study individuals' lived experiences. A type of research that is based on the belief that humans are social beings who interact with their environment and each other. So, phenomenological research aims to understand how people make meaning of their experiences and how these experiences impact their lives. Thank you, everyone. That's all about my topic on phenomenology. Have a great day!